Massad Method Show. I'm Marianne Massad, CEO of Gnosis Group, an IT management consulting and global solutions provider to Fortune 500 companies. I've been in business a long time, 37 years in fact, and what I'm hoping to do on this show is basically share with you lessons learned, the kinds of lessons you can't learn in university. I'm also the author of Move from Employee to CEO of Your Own Destiny. And this book has been about basically the life cycle, cradle to grave, of a business, from the time you get the idea in your head to the time you actually sell your business and everything in between. So I hope you'll join me on this fabulous journey for the Massad Method Show. Welcome back, everybody, to the Massad Method Show. This is a show about entrepreneurship and leadership. And every week we cover off a new topic in either of those areas. Right now I'm doing a series on my book, Move from Employee to CEO of Your Own Destiny. It's a book about starting a business and building a business and selling a business. So basically having a business cradle to grave. And I'm going to cover each week another chapter around some of the key topics that are pertinent to people who are looking to start a business. So last week we talked a lot about finding the right time to start a business, and how do you know it's actually the right time to start a business. And this week we're going to be talking about finding your true inspiration. How do you find inspiration for starting your business? How do you figure out what kind of business you need to build? So I can just tell you a little story about something that happened to me that affected my mindset around what kind of company I would build, because I had thought about so many different things. I thought about, women's fashion, because my grandmother and her sisters were in the fashion business. And I thought about restaurants, and I thought about, network marketing and all that good stuff. But one really key event that happened in my life is I worked on a really big deal with a huge systems integrator that, which I subsequently won. And I remember the exact moment I had the light bulb, the proverbial aha moment. And it really was when we were trying to find the right person to lead the whole engagement. And it was a senior program manager, basically. And what that means in our business, a senior program manager is really a senior executive that can manage a large project from start to finish, on budget, on time, and has particular domain knowledge. So I was working as part of a consortium of several companies, and these were all multi-billion-dollar companies. And lo and behold, it was almost impossible to find a program manager who could manage a $20 million initiative with a great track record, like a track record that would stand up to scrutiny, the scrutiny of a client, with specific, in this point, it was e-commerce expertise. And we literally had to comb each company to find somebody, not because they didn't have those people, but because they were in such high demand that there was no availability. Nobody was available. And I thought to myself, okay, if it is so difficult to find a senior program manager and these people are in such high demand, I am going to start my company and base my company around large scale program and project management, which is basically what I did. And I couldn't have done it at a better time, because it was at sort of the height of the Y2K craze. Many of you won't remember that. Maybe some of you are too young to remember that. You're probably little kids at the time. But yeah, we actually started the business during that time, and we specialized in large scale program management. And excitingly enough, all our clients were looking for that kind of expertise, because their Y2K programs were huge enterprise-wide initiatives. They usually involved, in a large company, perhaps thousands of people, hundreds of projects, And you needed somebody of that ilk who could manage all of those moving parts, manage the risk, and make sure that everything was going to be delivered on time and on budget. Because in the Y2K instance, supposedly at the time, we thought that if we didn't make all the changes before the year 2000, that some terrible calamity may befall, some of the systems. And, rightly so. There may have been some issues around financial systems and maybe some of the utilities and hydro systems, et cetera. So yeah, so that's what I did. I ended up starting this business on that basis. And of course, our business has morphed over the years, and we've gone from just large scale program management, which ironically became more of a commodity as time went on. And that's, again, another lesson learned in running a business, is that something that made sense at one point in time and has incredible value and you can differentiate yourself, later on the road of your business may actually have very little value. And that's why it's important to always be staying abreast of trends, constantly educating yourself, networking, talking to different people or companies in your industry so that you understand what's coming ahead, and even things like economics, because outsourcing had a huge effect on the whole program management space. Because when Canada basically allowed, and the States allowed, a lot of the Indian outsourcers to come in here, basically bring people in on work permits, pay them Indian dollars basically, and have them work here in Canada or the US, charge, Canadian or American dollars, but not the same rates as American or Canadian companies were charging for those skill sets. They were probably cutting their prices in half. It made it impossible for companies like mine to compete. So we had to find a different way. And in our case, we basically started to look more for solutions and outcomes, ROI, packaging everything as a fixed price as opposed to per diem based work. And we were able to pivot and we were able to succeed. And in fact, we became even more profitable and more successful because of that, that challenge that we encountered. But some of the things you need to be aware of in terms of finding your true inspiration, if you're still trying to figure out what kind of business you want to get into, is use different tools. And some of the tools that I've used in the past is a vision board or a dream board. And it could involve pictures. It could also involve a diary where you write everything down in terms of what your dreams and your goals are. And in fact, I've gone through the exercise a number of times over the years of writing down 100 goals. And I think Warren Buffett says that's probably not a good idea. You should probably have only 4 or 5 goals, maybe 3. But I don't subscribe to that mindset, because I think as human beings, we have many different facets to our personality. And you could have 100 goals that are accomplished over 10 years. So that's roughly 10 goals a year. Maybe 3 of those goals are business. Maybe 3 of them are health related. Maybe 3 of them are, 3 or 4 are related to hobbies or travel or sports, or some other aspect of your persona that needs development. And the interesting thing is, when you start to build these vision boards or these dream boards, or start to write down your 100 goals, or keep a diary of what your dreams and aspirations are, what your vision is for the future, and you oftentimes go back and look at those documents, I would say that most people would find about 80 to 90% of the things you put out there into the universe, they actually come to fruition. I know in the case of my 100 goals, I think I accomplished over the course of 10 years, probably 90 of them. Okay, I didn't accomplish 10, big deal. But now I'm at the point where I'm ready to start another 100 goals and see where that takes me over the course of the next 10 years. But even things like pictures of, what you want your business to look like, or what kinds of products you want to sell, or what kind of lifestyle you want to lead, or what work-life balance looks like for you. And for some people, there isn't a lot of work-life balance. For others, it's more important. So having a vision of all those things is really, really important, because what you put out there, what you meditate upon and focus on, is generally what you manifest in your life. The other piece of it, of course, is research. And we live in an age where information is so plentiful, it's almost too much. Because if you want to research something, you can research it to death. So, there are different sources, obviously. There are industry associations, there are professional associations, there are technical papers or articles, business articles, there are TED Talks, there are YouTube channels like this, where you can learn so much just by listening 10, 15 minutes a week to somebody who may be talking about something that's of extreme interest to you. So research is really, really key, and understanding, again, if you're going to sell a product, understanding the marketplace, understanding the competition. How does the product stand up? What problem does it solve? What kind of roadmap would there be for a product like that? Is it something that, you'd sell for 2-3 years and you're kind of one and done? Or is it something that could evolve over time? Is it something you could wrap your services around? There are just so many things to consider when you're researching a product or a service. The main thing is you have to have a pain you are easing or addressing, or a problem you're solving. And then the other piece of it is you have to have differentiating capabilities or qualities, because if there's nothing different about you or anything that makes you stand apart from your potential competitors, it's going to be next to impossible for you to build revenue on that basis. So making it reasonably unique, looking at basically your differentiators, looking at your goals, looking at the problem that needs to be solved, looking at the pain that needs to be dealt with, looking if there's a gap in the marketplace. Like I did, I noticed that there was a gap in the marketplace when I started my company. And I was right, because I couldn't even keep up to all the demand that was coming my way. Like it was literally insane. It's not like that necessarily today in that area, because as I mentioned to you, the whole business changed. But wow, what a good observation I made at that point in time. And I was able to monetize that observation in about in a couple of years from that point in time where I had that aha moment. The other piece of it, of course, is listening to your intuition. And again, the example I just gave is a great example too, because not only did I have empirical information because of this situation I was in, but I was also using my intuition about, observing other things that went on in the company that I worked for, and always seeing that it came down to having the right person managing the engagement. If you didn't have the right person managing the engagement with the right experience, generally, they didn't make money. Those projects didn't make money. They lost money. So understanding your intuition, following your intuition, and it could be also intuition that's telling you not to do something. You need to pay attention to that as well. If your intuition is telling you that something doesn't make sense, then generally it probably doesn't make sense. And you need to listen to that as well. And there are different ways we can develop our intuition. I oftentimes have intuitive moments listening to podcasts or listening to music or going for a run, or just listening to people. I'll overhear a conversation and something will be heard, and I'll just say, wow, that really, really makes a lot of sense. So that's very important. The other element, of course, for finding your true inspiration and getting the right idea is networking. Getting involved with industry events and professional associations, attending seminars. And again, in those situations, you might meet vendors in your particular profession. So I'm thinking about healthcare just at this particular moment. There's a lot of technology now related to helping healthcare solve their unique problems, cybersecurity being one of them. So as a health professional, you might be a health professional, but you're very interested in technology. You're attending a conference like this about innovations in cybersecurity, and you start to network with a few vendors, and you find vendors that want to find a reseller for their products, and they need somebody who really understands the healthcare industry and probably has contacts. Bingo. You have a great start to a business idea. So networking is really, really key. Talking to old employers, talking to colleagues, old colleagues that you used to work with, just talking and gathering information. It's part of the research process. Then finally, really, it's about, for me, meditation and prayer. So if you are, I'll just get some water here. If you are going to go on the journey of building a business, you're gonna have a lot of challenges along the way. And for me, my spirituality has been a big foundational piece of my success, I think, because when I've had challenges, disappointments, discouragement, and even when I've had good things, good times and great cycles, exciting cycles, growth cycles, I still rely on my meditation and my prayer and listening to spiritual thought leaders or reading spiritual books, because it makes you realize that there is something more than just your business. There is you as a human being. There's your connection to your community, to your family, to your spouse, then to your community, then to your business, and then to your industry as a whole, and finding kind of that quiet time where you have a little bit of a void in terms of not being inundated with too much information is just so key to getting inspired. You can't have inspiration without downtime. And for me, downtime means praying, meditating, doing some yoga, listening to great ideas on the spiritual front. So I hope this has given you some good ideas around how you can find inspiration for your business. And next show, we're going to be talking about taking a personal inventory and understanding what your strengths and weaknesses are so that you can figure out how to set up your business in such a way to take advantage of your strengths and to minimize or complement your weaknesses. So thanks again for joining me on the Massad Method show. And I look forward to seeing you all again really, really soon. Take care. Bye for now.